So in this video, we're carrying on a series of videos on wired home networking. Previously, we've looked at wiring that system, and today we're going to be looking at testing it. What are we going to be using today, Gordon?
We've got the Patch App and Go, which is a very useful network testing kit we found on one of our live feed events. So let's have a closer look at what's in this kit.
Can you explain to me what's in there, please, then, Gordon?
Okay, well, I know you love a pouch, Gary, and in this pouch there is a Bluetooth dongle, which is the brains of the Patch and Go operation.
Okay, just looking at it, doesn't look that technical. How do you make that out to be the brains?
Okay, so this links to the app itself. So all the information you're going to get back from this is displayed on your smartphone screen, and we'll look at that once we've plugged it into our installation.
Okay.
It's USB rechargeable, little cable there to charge it up, and then these numbered smart plugs that go 1 all the way through to 6.
Okay.
And they're going to be plugged into the various outlets that we're going to be testing.
Can you get more than 6?
Yeah, so they come in sets of 6, so the additional next set of 6 goes from 7 to 12, and then 13 to 18, 19 to 26. So enough to test what you traditionally find in probably quite a normal sort of rack-mounted data patch set.
So can you just talk us through the system we've got on the wall then, please?
Okay, so this is our Mimic network panel that we showed in the previous video, but today we're going to test it. But just to recap, we've got our what you'd patch panel. So this is where all of the data networking cable comes together, and where you probably plug into your internet router or your internet switches. And then we've got the outlet plates that you'd have in each room of the house. So you might have a double one behind a smart TV or games console, and then discrete ones depending on the function of the room that you've put that into. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is plug these smart plugs into our patch panel.
The patch panels I've seen in commercial environments, you know, where we've got large office blocks, don't look like this, Gordon.
No, so we've essentially made a slimmed down version. Those commercial ones would normally be like a 19-inch rack mounted thing with, you know, up to sort of 24 connectors in a row. A little bit overkill for our small network that we've built here. We've built ours out of the Euro module components to make a more, so to suggest, cost-effective solution.
But these work perfectly in that environment as well?
Yeah, yes, there's nothing fundamentally different between that. So I've plugged all those smart plugs in, so it's now time to power up the dongle. So first thing I'm going to do is open up the app on the phone here. So I've got the Apple version here, so it can't find my device at the minute. I'm about to switch on the dongle, and it's found that immediately in my list there. Bingo, I'm in.
That was simple, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very quick. So the first thing it's going to do, you've got 3 test options here. We've got a multiple test where you can produce a nice PDF report of the installation.
Oh, lovely.
So obviously, we love more paperwork, but you know, if you've got to prove you've been out to site and tested something and passed that on to somebody else, then that might be a useful option. We're not doing that here. We don't want to get involved in that paperwork, so we're going to go for the quick test option. So the first thing I do is open that up. Immediately I'm offered what type of cabling have we used for that. There's 2 types. There's an unearthed video about that if you want to know the difference between 568A and 568B. We'll talk about that in that video. We've got the B system here. The next type is the type of cable. So this will offer us to do between Cat5, Cat5e, 6, 6A and 7. So in this installation we've gone with category 6, and we have an unshielded cable.
So will it do shielded?
It will do shielded as well, so I've chosen obviously unshielded because that's what we've got.
So we're in the quick version. This means our results won't be kept. We'll just get a visual clue of what's happened during the test and we move on.
Yes, that's it. So jump straight in. So I'm going to pick it into our first outlet here. Push the test button. Oh, hold on, I haven't selected my cable standard. There we go. Right, done that now. Bingo, it's a pass.
Okay, so that seemed very quick.
Yeah, it is quick. And then quickly move on to our next outlet. And what you'll also notice on at the back of our patch panel, each time I test it, the actual smart plug's lighting up as well.
So that's 2 done already of the 6.
2 done again. So this system is designed to be for one person. So imagine some of those traditional testers, you need somebody at each end to tell you that the wiring was reading correct.
We could have done it the other way round, couldn't we? We could have put the plugs in at the actual outlet points and done this test at the actual panel itself. Is that true?
Yeah, that's another way of doing it, and obviously depends on what exactly you're trying to test. So there's a problem. So I've plugged into this one here, and it's suggesting that I have a fault on the line.
So what is your fault?
Fault is 2 of the cables are open circuit.
Okay, so we've actually introduced some faults into this system, and we just to show everybody what's happening with those.
Yeah.
Could you try and clear that fault for me?
Okay, so I'll clear that there. If I just flick this switch, it should clear the fault. So I'll go in for a retest, quick test again, and bingo, I've cleared that fault.
Obviously, in the real world, we'd obviously taking the plates off and altering the cable positions, etc. But we've introduced those switches to prove that we can see the faults quite simply.
Yeah, so again, I'm testing on this one, and again, I can introduce some more faults. I can introduce a short circuit on the cables, and you can see that there.
Okay.
And also another open circuit. I can clear that there.
And it makes a different noise, obviously, when there is a fault. So if we clear those out now, will it then show that we've got a...
Yeah, so when you get a fault, you get a red light. We know we like flashing LEDs here at eFix. We've got a red light at that end, and we get a red light on the dongle as well,
right,
to tell you that. So I can test that again, and we've cleared it.
Let's imagine I'm in installation, I want to add power over Ethernet into the system, and I weren't sure which plate was which. Obviously, it's important I get the correct one. Is there any way of tracing individual circuits?
Yeah, I mean, are you somehow suggesting that people might not be as good as labelling as they should be in some installations, Gary?
That is true, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's obviously, yes, that's a common scenario. So yes, PoE, we've looked at in a different video to explain what that is and why you'd have it, but yeah, so say we're going to introduce, we need to know that this outlet, where it is to patch in PoE at the other end. So again, I can plug in our dongle, and we go back into the trace mode. So it's going to trace the cabling, push the trace button on here, give it a while, tracing in progress, and that's identified this is outlet number 6. And if you go back to our smart plug, you'll see that the smart plug labelled number 6 is illuminated with this green LED.
And again, that seemed immensely simple to do.
Yeah, so again, I can repeat that process. Yeah, there you go. So this is that's outlet number 4, and number 4 is illuminated in the smart plugs. So if I take that, and then let's try it the other way around, just to prove it works from there. I'll take the smart plugs and plug them into the outlets in our room. So these might be in bedrooms, or you might have them in a room where you've got a smart TV that's got a lot of heavy data in terms of you want to stream something like Netflix.
So now you're going to do the changing over at the panel end rather than obviously in walking around the rooms, but you've had to walk out and obviously insert those plugs into each of the outlets.
Yes.
And obviously when you finish the test, you have to collect them back up. So hence the first way round was a little bit quicker maybe?
Yeah, it can be quicker, but again, depends on, you might have all these labelled already, and
yeah,
you're just validating that they're going to the right place. So again, if I go back to the quick test mode, I need again, select my cable standard, select my cable type, shielded cable, no it's not, quick test. So I just run that test. I've got my passes again. So again, you'll see that we've got a green light here, and this is identifying on this plug here, which is plug number 6. So that's a different way of using it again. So I can just work through the panel here. This should be plug number 5.
Okay, so that means if we have one end labelled, obviously we can now label the other end. That app seemed really simple to use. Did you spend ages reading the instructions before starting?
No, I'm not a person who's like most people. You just like to dive in. If something's intuitive, you can tend to operate it without the instructions. So I don't actually, there's no instructions in the pouch you're so keen of, Gary. There is, straight in, download the app. Yeah, that found this to be a really intuitive system.
I think we clearly proved there, out of the box, how easy Patch App and Go was to use. However, Gordon, that common fault is normally 2 conductors crossed over. Will it pick that up?
Absolutely. I mean, that I'd suggest that's probably what it was built for, because that's the one you're probably most likely to create as your wiring network adapters.
So, Patch App and Go. Do we at eFix believe it will save electricians time? Yes, we do. And we like that at eFix.